folks, to the third edition of LOBOLAIRLIVE on LoboNationTV. I'm one of your hosts, JJ Griego.
And I'm Nick at Night.
Let's get right into it, folks, with our weekly edition, Mountain West Weekly Wrap-Up.
First, we have Boise State heading to Nevada. The Wolf Pack jumped out to 4 fast wins in Mountain West play, and they're really coming into this game looking to establish themselves in the upper echelon of Mountain West basketball. Nevada started each half on a 7-0 run, but in each half, Boise State had an answer. In the first half, Boise State had a 15-0 run. In the second half, they had an 8-0 run. Boise State was hot from downtown as the team going 9-20 and mustered 10 more rebounds than the Wolfpack. Deontay Burton had a rough night, going about 1 for 8 from the field for 7 points, and Derek Marks led all scorers with 21 points.
San Jose State, as they went down to Flyboy University. We've talked about the Flyboys having big second halves but needing to play better to start the game. On this night, they sure did, going into the half down just 35-33. The trend continues as they poured in 44 points in the final 20 minutes and outscoring the Spartans by 17 to win by 15 points. The Spartans only hit 6 three-pointers on the night as Air Force made 12, shooting 56.3% from the game. Trey Coggins filled the stat line again with 27, and teammate Marik Olinsky added 19 points on the night.
Next up, we have the Lambs of Colorado State University heading to Utah State. Badonkadonks was 4-9 for Treyville for 20 points and 8 rebounds. Mr. Do-It-All JJ Avila, who has my vote so far for Newcomer of the Year, had 21, 8, and 3 assists. The rest of the Rams were missing in action. Jared Shaw continued to dominate since returning from his suspension, as he posted 17 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Spencer Butterfield and Preston Medlin gave Shaw some much-needed help as they added 17 and 12 points respectively. The difference in this game, folks, was the 11 threes made by the Aggies opposed to only 5 bombs from the Ramses. Utah State wins 57-50.
Alright, let's move on down now to Fresno State as they went down to Sunnyside, San Diego. In a game where neither team really shot the ball well inside the arc or behind it, the Aztecs battled back after being down most of the first half. It was a tight game throughout, as the biggest lead came roughly in about the final 7 minutes of the game. The key for this game is San Diego State went 26 for 41 from the line. The Dogs were only 11 and 15 from the line. The ability of San Diego State to shoot 26 more free throws was huge in this game. Besides that, a key stat of the game came down to Tyler Johnson versus Xavier Thames. Tyler brought his A game, posting 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. Thames had 28 points, and that dude named Winston Shepard, whatever his name is, he had 17 points, going 9 and 14 from the line.
Yes. Next up, we have UNLV heading to New Mexico. We talked about the Rebels desperately looking to get back on track in Mountain West play going into this game. The Rebs brought the urgency, looking like they were in an emergency Wednesday night. The pit was rocking and ready for a battle against Mountain West rival UNLV. The game started well for our Lobos. Cam had 5 points and assisted 2 King Kirk dunks. At the 14:28 mark, Cam picked up his second foul and had to go to the bench. During that time, the Rebels went on an 18-3 run that put them up for good before Cam was able to come back in the game and get a layup with about 10 minutes left in the first half.
Urgency put the Lobos in emergency. I thought this quote from Coach really stuck out about the first half. This was said by Coach. I thought they would come out a little bit harder with a little bit better mindset, talking about the Lobos. A little tougher mindset, but they didn't start out that way. And it's hard when you go down 15 points in the first half and you have to battle to get back.
Yeah, our Lobos struggled on offense in that 4.5 minute stretch. The Rebel guards came to shine as Jalen Kendrick and Bryce Deshaun Jones each had 5 points in the span. Kevin Olikobe hit 2 threes early on. We were excited for the matchup of the front courts, but it was the guards in the backcourt really setting the tone for the running Rebels.
UNM battled back within 4 points, 46-42 at the half, but we still didn't have an answer from the running Rebels of Las Vegas. The Rebels were flawless with their screen and pop isolation offense, draining bucket after bucket. In the second half, the Rebel guards continued to make their shots and get to the basket at will for layups and trips to the free throw line to slow the game down.
Yes. In the final 3 minutes of the game, the score was 71-69 Rebels. Bryce Deshaun Jones made 5 and 6 from the line to hold off our Lobos. New Mexico had its chances in the closing minutes, pulling within 74-73 with a minute and 24 left.
Yeah, we did have our chances. The Lobos, matter of fact, had 3 chances to tie the ball game, including a wide open look from DD, plus Neal's clean look at the final play. But the ball hit the rim and bounced away. No magic in the pit tonight. Before the 3 chances in the final moments, Cam also missed a jumper, which would have given the Lobos the lead with 35 ticks to play in the game. That would have been that was a big stop for UNLV to stop Cam at that point. After the timeout, UNM came in and ran a traditional NBA-like isolation fake. Must have been brought up by Coach himself.
Yep, but unfortunately we just couldn't connect on it. The Lobos out-rebounded the Rebs by 7 points, which was huge and a key for the win if you remember from episode 2. However, UNLV shot and made more free throws as Deshaun Jones got to the line at will, going 11 of 13 from the stripe. The Lobos were only 6 of 22 from downtown as UNLV went 7 out of 13.
Yeah, the Rebels shot the ball very well from all over the floor. It's hard for any team to win a game when their opponent shoots 50% from the floor. The Rebels were very efficient and smart with the ball on offense. They appeared methodical in how they attacked the Lobos defense.
Bryce Deshaun Jones finished with 23 points. Devil Smith, Kevin Olikobe, and Jalen Kendrick pitched in 17, 14, and 7 respectively. Cam Birch had a double-double with 11 points and 11 rebounds, including 5-6 from the cherry stripe with a nice stroke.
Yeah, Cam had another stellar game, folks, with 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. Kirk had another double-double with 12 points, 11 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. K-Dub finished the night with 15 points, 9 assists, and just missing the double-double. Huey had 6 points, important points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Deshaun Delaney continues to improve with 10 points, and Colin Hill had 3 free throws to round out the scoring for the Lobos.
Okay, so check this out. On the night, the Lobos had 20 assisted buckets, which is a great thing to see when you review the numbers. The Ensembles basketball was definitely Lobo basketball. So far in the season, our Lobos have lost 2 games at home, and in both games, they didn't have a solid first half and were forced to claw their way back into the game behind large double-digit deficits. This puts a lot of pressure on the team to rebound fast with only 20 minutes left in the game, as the offense must produce quickly and the defense get timely stops each time down the floor.
What I noticed is the urgency in those 2 contests was much different from half to half. It's similar to Air Force and how they have been down and have had big second halves to come back into their games. The Lobos need to collectively, as a team, eliminate other teams from penetrating down the lane. It is helping other teams get to the line, get our bigs in foul trouble, and open up their offense for other shots on the floor.
As fans, we have become accustomed to a top 50 stingy defense from the Lobos. This season we are scoring more, but the defense is putting pressure on our offense like the Lobo football team's defense and offense. We will get into rotations a little bit later after Saturday's game in Fresno, later in the show.
Yeah, in my opinion, while teams in the Mountain West are playing more like the defensive Lobos of old, it seems to me the Lobos of now have lost their way on the defensive end. What once was a staple for this team has been lacking so far this season. The good news, folks, is we can get that back. We have 4 starters from a great defensive juggernaut from last year's squad. When we get back to that, we need to get back to that. Coach knows it, we as fans know it, plain and simple. One thing that stuck out for me was a quote from Xavier Thames after they beat Fresno State on Wednesday. "We're just worried about getting stops on the defensive end," Thames said. "The offensive flow will come to us. Our main thing is getting stops on the defensive end, coming together as a team and getting stops." Sound familiar? Well, from what I see from San Diego State is they crash the boards, play good defense, and they get to the free throw line. Sounds like a winning recipe to me. Of course it does, folks. It's our recipe. We cooked it. We baked it. When you sit back and watch the Lobos beat you year in and year out on the defensive end, you have to emulate that plan. And that's exactly what teams in the Mountain West are doing, especially San Diego State. Time to take back our frijoles, Lobo Nation. We need that fire. Red, green, however you like it. Just show me some fire. Let it burn, baby. Zozo.
Now we move to the Saturday game. Our Lobos head to Fresno State. Coach had some harsh words following the loss Wednesday, and it was time to see how the Lobos would respond. They responded pretty well, JJ, from the looks of their effort on the defensive end. The team only gave up 27 first half points.
I agree. Our Bulls did give up 5 first half threes, which helped the Bulldogs stay within reach at the break. The inside-outside of UNN was clicking in the first half thanks to Colin Neal providing that much-needed spark off the bench. He had 12 points at halftime and really gave that Lobos a spark as Fresno State hung around early.
The second half brought much of the same as our great advantage inside was too much for the Bulldogs. The Jet played some great minutes to relieve Kirk, who got his hook shot on point tonight.
The Lobos used a 9-1 run with just under 9 minutes to go in the game to go up by as much as 18 points. Then the foul fest began. Jeff Grammer mentioned that there were 43 shot attempts in the final 6 minutes and 52 seconds of the game. 43 of the total 74 foul shots took place in the final minutes of the game. Now that's just downright ridiculous and scandalous if you ask me.
I saw someone on Twitter saying that the refs were paid based on the foul. The more fouls they called, the more they were getting paid.
And they did everything they could to try to keep it within 6 points.
The big difference in the game was our field goal percentage, as we were 26 out of 49 from the field for about 53.1% for the game. The Bulldogs shot it at a 36.7 clip. The other key to the game was the Bulldogs matching us rebound for rebound with their smaller guard lineup.
Yeah, the Dogs had 9 assists and 7 steals, and the Lobos had 14 assists and 4 steals, but also had 3 blocks. Fresno State had 4 starters in double figures, led by Tyler Johnson with 16 points in their upset bid of the Lobos. The Lobos bench responded. Yes, the Lobos bench responded with 31 points behind Colin Neal's 17 points. Pat Cake put 10 points up. Cam the Beast Bairstow had 22 and 8 as Kirk had 12 points and 7 rebounds. K-Dub finished with 13 on the night, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. K-Dub.
Tonight we saw a different rotation with Obaja Jet getting 13 minutes in the game. In the past, we often saw several rotational players coming into the game to play with Kendall Williams. In Fresno, we saw more Kirk and a Jet subbing back and forth for each other and several starters on the floor at all times. I think it really helped and provide some consistency in our lineup. I didn't notice any drop-offs regardless who was in the game, and that is what we want to see. We know we have the experience, depth, and talent to have a solid squad on the court at all times. I think in this game we saw some lineups that will really propel us going forward in Mountain West play.
Yeah, I'll have to say the message was well received from the team that Coach Neal gave them after the other night, because the Lobos looked solid on the road. And with a convincing win, and the first half defense looked solid too before the foul fest began.
Our player of the game, I have to say it's Colin Neal, who really helped the Lobos separate themselves from the Bulldogs with his key buckets and his penetration that also led to some layups on the night. When Colin is impacting the game, this is the Lobos. This team is very good, and they'll be hard pressed for other teams to really stop them.
Yep, I agree. Colin Neal, man, just keep working hard. Do you? With experience comes greatness, buddy. So keep doing your job. All right, let's move on to the next game for the Mountain West Weekly wrap-up. We had San Jose State as they head on down to Laramie. The Wyoming Cowboys got another statement game and a complete team effort led by Larry Nance Jr. Jr. finished with 18 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 blocks as he leads the Mountain West in blocks about 3.3 per game. Riley Graybu leads the nation in three-point percentage at 51.9%, but he was 0-6 on the night. It didn't matter though, as a strong first half combined with key answers down the stretch kept the Spartans on their heels all evening long. The Pokes have been out-rebounded so far in every Mountain West game they've played, but tonight they were hot from the field, unselfish, and acting on defense. Pokes get the W, 67-56.
Next, the Flyboy University heads to in-state rival Colorado State. They were trying to steal a W on the road and come home. However, this doesn't happen very often. CSU is 38-10 in the last 48 meetings at home against Air Force. Air Force was actually up 64-62 with about 2 to go, but Badonkadonks nailed 2. I said 2 threes back-to-back and squeaked out the W late in the game. Trey Coggins was 0-5 from downtown and finished with 4 points. Maxion, Marik Olesinski, and Cameron Williams picked up the slack with 23, 18, and 16 in the game. Badonkadonks finished with 27 points and 9 rebounds, and JJ Avila continued his tear with 21 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks on the night. The key on the evening was the 32 trips to the line and the 23 made free throws from the Rams.
Yep, that was a good win for Colorado State as they beat their in-state rival. move on to one of the more anticipated matchups of the afternoon. It was UNLV as they headed on down to San Diego State. The Rebels looked to head into the Old Lady Arena and try to steal another W on the road in Mountain West play, but this time the very stingy defense of the Aztecs slapped that notion from the opening start. The Aztecs jumped out to a 14-point halftime lead and then grinded out a final 20 minutes to get the 11-point win. Josh Davis had 14 rebounds and 14 points to help out Thames, who was ice cold from the field, but red hot from the line, finishing with 18 points on 11 and 12 shooting from the line. The Aztecs continue to find ways to win despite their offensive woes, but stellar defense on the other end of the floor. To paint a picture for you, Bryce Deshaun Jones went 7 from 25 from the field and had 15 points. I believe he shot a little bit better in the pit the other night.
Yes, he did. Next up, we have Utah State heading to Boise State. Derek Marks had 16 of his 19 points in the second half, and Ryan Watkins had 15 points and 16 rebounds. Jared Shaw matched his season high with 24 points and had a chance to make the go-ahead bucket with 4 seconds left when they were down 75-74. That would have been a big win for the Utah State, but the Aggies couldn't escape in the last half minute.
Yeah, that would have been a big win for Utah State as they've been struggling in Mountain West play. Alright, let's move on to our Mountain West Players of the Week. The first Mountain West Player of the Week has to go out to Derek Marks. The Broncos came in this week 1-2 and off to a rough start in conference play. But Derek Marks made sure they got back on track this week as his 2 key scoring efforts. He had 19 points and a key dagger against Utah State. And this was following his 21 points and 8 rebounds against the Wolfpack. And that gave Nevada their first loss in Mountain West play.
Yes, it did. Next up, we have Xavier Thames. Xavier continues to lead the Aztecs victory after victory after victory. His 28 points on Wednesday night at home against Fresno State held the Bulldogs' upset bid. Saturday night he had 18 points and was money from the charity stripe.
Hurts me to say this, but Xavier Thames, Mountain West Player of the Week.
Next up, let's talk a little bit about the Mountain West road record. So last week we said about the road team, how they've won 10 of the 19 matchups. Fast forward a week, we played 10 more contests. The road team has won 13 of those 29. The percentages slipped from 53% to 45, so it looks like the home team is regaining that home court advantage.
That edge. Seems like we were starting to balance out. Alright folks, let's move on to the preview of the week. Tuesday night, 7:15, live in the pit. Catch the game on CBS Sports Network if you're not there. The Lobos host the Boise State Broncos. Nick, tell us a little bit about this matchup.
Alright, well the Broncos come into the game leading the Mountain West in scoring at 79.2 points per game. But the Lobos aren't far behind, scoring about 77.4 points a game. Boise State ranks low in assists per game, but that is partly because Derek Marks and Anthony Drumick are such potent scorers at the guard position.
Yeah, they are. And also Ryan Watkins, he's just about averages a double-double and has had a strong start in the Mountain West this season. Boise State has played the 48th toughest schedule so far in the nation. They are still searching for a signature win, and what better way to get that is on the road in the pit. They're going to try to get that on the road in the pit. The Broncos are 3-2 on the road and 2-2 neutral court games coming into this contest. The team is 0-6. I repeat, this team is 0-6 against top 50 RPI teams. Really looking for a signature win.
They are not scared to go on the road in a big-time environment and play well. Derek Marks, Anthony Drumick, and Ryan Watkins lead the Broncos. The Lobos will have an advantage download with our size. Derek Marks is a streaky player, but don't let that fool you. He can really step it up in big games.
Yeah, he can. And so can Jeff Elongoria. He is the key for the Broncos' outside shooting. He's shooting about 47.9%. Anthony Drumick plays the most minutes for the team, and he's averaging about 34 minutes a game, and averages about 18.6 per game. He is their all-around leader, and Derek Marks more often than not serves as the Broncos' X-Factor. Ryan Watkins is also averaging about 10.6 a game and 9.7 rebounds. So Ryan Watkins does his share to help out the Broncos too.
Yes, he does. For a high-scoring team, they do have some nice balance past those top 3 scorers. Boise State goes 8 deep with each player averaging at least 15 minutes or more per game. Ryan Watkins is the #1 offensive rebounder in the Mountain West. Kendall Williams has had 90 assists on the season and only 39 turnovers. That assist-turnover ratio is #1 in the Mountain West at about 2.3 assists per turnover.
Yeah, that's a good stat for Kindle. Good job on that. Personally, I really like to see Kindle step up and especially in the first half, take control over the game and step up and just score a little bit more and take a little bit more shots. Be that senior leader that we all know he is. I'm really looking forward to this game. I'm really looking forward to see if the Lobos can defend the pit this time from the get. Don't let the Broncos come in here and try to score on us right away. So I'm really looking forward to see how the Lobos start off this game. All right, let's move on to the keys of the win. My key to the win this week is this. Boise State comes into this contest 0-18 when they don't score 60 points. So my challenge to the Lobos is to play some defense. It all ties in together since what happened last Wednesday against UNLV. Coach wants the Lobos to come out, play better defense, play more of an edge, protect home, don't let nobody score on us. So if the Lobos do the things that Coach wants them to do, then holding Boise State under 60 points should be no problem. Lobos hold Boise under 60 points, they get the W. History's on our side.
To go along with that same memento, I want to talk to you about key to the win, tempo. The Lobos have to play their game and not let Boise State dictate the tempo. They have a nice rotation which really helps keep their starters fresh. This team isn't going to get gassed out, and our goal shouldn't be to try to get them to gas out either. That's likely what their game plan is going to be for us. We need to guard them, lock down up the tempo, because honestly, we have a more efficient team when we methodically take apart teams and not try and push the tempo.
Yeah, I agree. I think if the Lobos do those two key things, play great defense, hold Boise under 60, control the tempo, don't let this up and down, fast course-paced game. Let's play Lobo basketball on the offense and the defensive end. Lobos get the dough.
Lastly, we want to mention that, I don't know if everyone noticed last week or saw the highlight video, but future Lobo Xavier Adams, X-Man, hit the game-winning shot for Marcus basketball. Keep it up, X.
Good job, X. Alrighty, folks, comes to the end of the show. I want to thank you guys for tuning in again to the third episode of LOBOLAIRLIVE. Again, we appreciate all the viewers. We appreciate all the support. We appreciate all the love. Continue watching. We'll see you next week. I'm JJ Griego.
And I'm Nick at Night.
Go Lobos.
Good night and go Lobos.